While we've covered more prolific people like Steven Anderson, who, jump on the politics train whenever it means that they can genocide the people that they don't like, there is a certain level of, I don't want to use a hasty generalization, but we'll go ahead and call it Christian crazy. A sort of superstition that is prevalent. The Trump prophecy is what we'll call it. And I'm not saying that because I'm pulling that out of my butt. There are people who've legitimately called this a Trump prophecy. But here, I want to analyze a bit of footage here from Kerr about this Trump prophecy. Let's see. Once it loads. I love this video encoder not loading. Okay, so you know what? It's fine. We'll just reload it, repurpose it, and suddenly we're here.
Can you not stand and not turn to the left and give yourself as a partner to the evil that wants to take this land?
How did she know I became a leftist just so I could feel Satan tingling my butthole? That was supposed to be between me and, well, nobody else.
Well, I say no. It will not happen. It will end, and it will be done because I say it will be done.
What?
Watch my hand move. Now that man is done with their process, I will put my show on.
So, she's not speaking herself. She believes that God is speaking through her. She believes that this was a revelation from Jesus. Now, I want you to ask yourself, just out of curiosity, if you truly believe that God speaks to you, like physically speaks to you and gives you verbatim, word-by-word commands, not just communicates vaguely, not just I pray and they listen, but like literally gives you word-by-word commands. Is there a thing that God, if they were omnipotent, if they were omnibenevolent, if there were a tri-omni God, is there a thing that God could command you to do verbally that you would not do? And based on the answer to that, you can figure out whether or not believing that a spirit's actually talking to you in this particular manner is dangerous or not.
And no one will ever forget when that happens. There will be great celebrations in the streets of this country and around the world that great victory has come on behalf of the body of Christ, on behalf of my America, that I'm not giving up to any enemy.
So, what she's referring to is Trump getting reelected. Man has done its part. Now God's going to come in and make sure that the Cheeto stays in office. God's America. Now there's an idea, a couple of ideas that are attached to this that I have a huge problem with. One of which is the idea of American exceptionalism. The idea that because we are America, we are exceptional. We are great. We are the city on the hill. We are wonderful. The whole world looks at us and we are the shining example that they all have to merely aspire to. I really do not like that mentality. I think that it is a toxic mentality. It's the type of thinking that leads you to believe that you can do no wrong. There's also the issue where, I'm going to be honest, there's an almost nationalistic thought that the entire world must be looking at us with envy because when God comes in and makes sure that Trump is put into office, the entire world would be celebrating along with us. I don't think she has any idea of what the rest of the world thinks when they look at the United States. It's not the positive image that she's thinking. Right now, we're being laughed at, and there are newspapers going out in multiple other countries, like the one in Germany, calling what Trump did a beer putsch, if that's how I pronounce that. Basically going, wow, you really failed a coup. The world does not look on us with envy. Not in the way you think. But there's even more issues to this. There's even more issues to this mentality. Over and above the city on a hill mentality. Over and above the American exceptionalism. Over and above that. And one of them is the issue of manifest destiny. Now, does anybody here know what manifest destiny is? Here. We'll go ahead and take a look. Because this is one of the things that led to the United States. Manifest destiny was the widely held cultural belief in the 19th century that American settlers were destined to expand across North America. There are three basic themes to the manifest destiny: the special virtues of the American people and their institutions, the mission of the United States to redeem and remake the West in the image of the agrarian East, and an irresistible destiny to accomplish this essential duty. Manifest destiny is the word we have for it now is more like Christian dominionism. This is what Rick Wiles espouses to, this idea that God is necessarily over America, God is the one guiding America, and therefore anything America does is guided by the principles of God and are good. This has been used as an argument for disenfranchising indigenous people. This has been used as an argument for things that we have done in the military that are completely immoral. This has been used to exploit other nations because it is our destiny to remake the West. And God is the one pushing this as one of the underlying ideas at play here. The other one is that, the idea that God has a favorite nation is just kind of weird to begin with, because we're not talked about in the Bible. But let's continue.
So be ready to see what will happen, regardless of what they show, the lying, frying news.
And there, what did we just talk about in the Trump cult personality video? The separation into us versus them, the information control by classifying certain points of news as necessarily true and everything else is necessarily false. This is the fake news over here, but don't worry, the prophecy that I heard from Jesus is this one's definitely true. This one's definitely good. This one you can trust. I wet myself in the bed when Jesus came to me because it was the only way I can get wet anymore, and you should believe that. But if somebody who is a card-carrying journalist has done a fact check on things that Trump has done, that's the lying, frying fake news. Don't trust them. Jesus gave me a wet dream. That's better.
And the liars and the stealers and the takers will pay greatly for what they have tried to do, for they will fail and fail greatly in every way.
Are you threatening me with punishment or a good time? I'm not certain.
Because that landslide will pull every one of them down, and justice will be served, says your God. So stand in the light or run to the darkness.
What does this say about Christians who are Democrats? What does this say about Christian leftists? Just out of curiosity. Because if there is a prophet on both sides, and there's a prophet where God said, no, give to the poor, give away your riches, disperse wealth, on one side, and then there is this hyper-dominionism on the other side, and you both are claiming to be prophets, and you both are hearing God, which one of you do we choose? Which one of you do we trust? I would say neither, personally. I would say neither. But yeah, it is pointed out by Philip in the chat, no true Scotsman is a very Christian thing. That person's not a real Christian, they're on the left. That person's not a real Christian, they're a Republican.
But nothing will stop me from my plan of putting my son, Donald Trump, back in that White House.
Move over, Jesus. Donnie's the son now. Daddy Yahweh doesn't have time for you anymore. Daddy Yahweh's got an orange in the house. His son, Donald Trump. His son. I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought, when I read my Bible, it said that, here, let me make sure I'm not speaking out of my ass. Hold on. Do. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. I just want to make sure that I'm not speaking out of my butt when I say this. Okay. You know what? You're right. John 3:16 and 17 don't necessarily say that he only had one son. I could have sworn that there was a chapter in this book that said that Jesus was God's only begotten son. Now, apparently, my knowledge of the Bible has waned, because I know that chapter's in here, but I don't remember it chapter and verse off the top of my head. My teachers back in PCA would have been very upset with me. But I don't have a word for calling Donald Jesus' son crazy, outside of crazy, unless you want to take the very broad strokes argument that everyone is necessarily a child of God, in which case it doesn't matter that Donald is God's son. Everybody's God's son. Move over. I want my fucking pudding, Don, and I don't care. I don't care that you were first in line. Mom doesn't love you.
Even if they inaugurate the villain and try to put him there, I will kick him out. I will remove him, and I will remove every obstacle that's in the way. Maybe they'll show that in the news.
So, according to this woman, God is going to remove every obstacle in the way of Trump getting into presidency. Well, right now, the biggest obstacle for Trump's presidency is democracy. So, if she thinks God's going to remove democracy and then thinks that that's a good thing, that's certainly quite the fashy take. That's quite the authoritarian take. But go on, I guess. Now, that's all there is in the video. She can't really go on anymore. Don't worry. We're spared from the rest. But the dominionism, the manifest destiny, the idea that Trump is God's only begotten son, the idea that a prophet can necessarily tell you what any god thinks, wants, or believes, these are all incredibly dangerous ideas and need to be challenged. They don't need to be just accepted carte blanche. Because in the example I gave before, and I'll give it again, if you believed that a god, any god of any variety, who happened to be omnipotent and all-knowing, so they must know best in all situations, physically spoke to you, and you believe that you heard every single one of those words, and they told you to do something heinous, at what liberty would you be to say no? Now, I know that there are some polytheist friends of mine who would be okay denying a deliberately uncouth command from a god if they perceive that it came in. But I don't think, especially given the narrative in the Bible, I don't think that a Christian who believes that this has happened would have the exact same ability. Because they'd be beholden to things like the story of Abraham, where behaving under God was following a deliberately uncouth command in the attempt to kill Isaac. But what do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what arguments you would have in favor or against this, and what issues you might have with this, or if you're even in favor of this. If you haven't hit the like button already on the video, go ahead and do that. And if you haven't subscribed but you want to see more of my content, the best thing you can do is subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. And if you want to see more stuff from the channel that everybody else doesn't get a chance to see, go ahead and head over to Patreon, and you will get access to exclusive behind-the-scenes videos. With that said, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, because my brain hurts.